Today is January 3rd, 2021, 3 days into the new year. Yesterday, I made and uploaded a video titled Experts, in which I just basically give my take on mainstream society and the government's concept of experts, or the way I like to put it, they're high priests. They're high priests that they appeal to and point to and say, look, these are experts in what the gods want, what the truth is. So let me do what I need to do and tell you what to do. Today, I'm just going to make another little video about authorities. The whole concept of authority. All my life, even before I realized that's what it was called, all my life, even as a young teenager, I've been an anarchist or non-statist or anti-statist. I didn't realize that what I believed was called, or what I would tell my friends was called anarchy or anarchism, until earlier into my adult years, into my 20s, because I had been taught by the authorities, experts in the public school system, that anarchy meant chaos. No, chaos means chaos. Some of you may remember me. I never had a big YouTube channel, but I had channels starting in 2010 on YouTube in which I talked about anarchy and anarchism to one degree or to another, and trying to explain to people why I believe anarchism is natural and it's within all of us, and you practice anarchy every day of your life. One of the greatest examples is when you come to a four-way stop, or when you come to a four-way stop, the traffic light isn't working, and you work with each other. How we interact with human beings through our daily lives, we don't need rules or laws set that we behave a certain way. We still act civilized, and I believe civility is natural. Now, I know that there are a lot of people that teach that without some sort of authorities and government, that it would just be absolute chaos and the law of the jungle and dog eat dog and all of that, and the warlords would take over. But yet, warlords have already taken over in the form of authority. Governments, people in government, politicians, rulers, whatever, consider themselves your authority. They're the authority on life and authority on civility and civilization and how to keep things orderly. If you need a crash course in what anarchy is, there's plenty of good videos out there and websites and blog sites, but it is not a bunch of guys dressed in black going around attacking people or breaking the windows out of Starbucks or things like that. And they certainly aren't working for for communist organizations, such as Antifa, BLM, or whatever. Anarchy or anarchism literally comes from the Greek term anarchos, which means no rulers. It doesn't even mean rules. You can have your own rules. You can have your own religion. You can have your own standards of life or whatever. That's fine. It's when you think that you're the authority of someone else over someone else, and you can tell them how the rules they have to live by. But another good crash course to understand anarchism is Larkin Rose's book here, The Most Dangerous Superstition. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I've been an anarchist all of my life, in my heart and in my mind. I expressed such beliefs before I started reading books on anarchism in my early 20s. And I found out, anarchy is what I believe. It's not chaos. It's not every man for himself and law of the jungle. Anarchy is a way to explain anarchy is when you think of tribal societies, whether ones in the history or American Indian type tribal societies, African tribal societies, European tribal societies of the past, or what have you. Anarchism simply is community where no one rules over your daily life. There may be leaders, and you can elect leaders for certain situations, whether it be a war chief or elect someone that's a leader in the community to show how everybody to get together to build a barn or whatever. But no one rules you or rules over your life when you go back home or takes money from you and call it taxes. They don't extort you. Someone that claims to be your authority is claiming that they literally have some sort of divine right over you, such as in times past, emperors and kings and things like that or pharaohs would claim that they are ordained by the sun god or some god or gods, or that they're the gods incarnate. and they have the right to rule over you. That superstition, as Mr. Rose points out in his book, that superstition exists in a religion I call state theism. And the idea and the ideology and the theology that you need a state system, a government system over you to govern you, because you can't govern your own life. And people can't govern how they interact with one another without some authority they know is watching over their shoulder, the God called government. The whole concept of authority is a farce. It's a myth. It is a superstition. And it's based on fear. Some of you may be seeing a lot of these stickers and T-shirts or whatever. They're saying, fear is used to control you. Well, it's always been used to control you. It's been used to control you that if you don't obey the ones in authority, you're disobeying God or the gods. And now it's if you're disobeying the authorities over you, the self-proclaimed authorities over you, then there's going to be chaos and people are going to die. And, who would build the roads and the bridges and blah, blah, blah? Who would take care of the criminals that, rob, steal, and murder and all that kind of stuff? That's a big superstition. If you for one moment could in your mind imagine a world without any form of statist system, government, a local government, municipal government, state government, county government, federal government, or world government. If you can imagine a world without that, you would say, well, warlords would take over. Well, first off, would there be the warlords like in the old, one of my favorite movies, comes from my generation, the Road Warrior movies, the Mad Max movies, where you have you have a guy named Humongous. Or you have the Van Damme dystopian world called Cyborg, where you had Freddy. You have these warlords in these gangs. Well, today we have warlords and gangs. We just call them government. It's the same thing. These are the mafias that extort you for protection money, pay us taxes, so we'll protect you from the criminals. Our police forces will protect you from the criminals, and our fire department will protect you from the fires, etc., etc., and our military will protect you from the invaders, because if you don't pay us this money, we're going to kick your ass. We're going to kill you. We'll burn down your house, like they did at Waco, Texas in the early 90s. They burned them down for not paying taxes. It was taxes on firearms. That's all it was. Same thing with Ruby Ridge. The point being is that authority, the whole concept of authority. Now, a lot of people today will reject the concept and the idea of a religious authority, a priest over you. Oh, we don't need none of that. We don't need a preacher. I don't need an arbitrator between me and my maker, or you don't believe in a maker. Maybe you're atheist or something. That's fine. But they still will believe that they have to have an authority. Now, here's the funny thing is, no one elects their favorite politician to make laws that they have to follow. Everyone, your neighbor, everyone, your fellow voters, if you're a voter and you play in that stupid game, you're voting for other people to follow laws that you want enacted. That's what you're doing. You're voting for politicians, your favorite politicians, to make laws for other people to follow and obey. Not for you. Now, politicians and governments don't make laws. They don't. Man can't make law. Nature, God, whatever you want to call it, has made law. Law is something man can't make and he can't break. He can go against it and suffer the consequences. Natural law, laws of nature. But man cannot make law. He can observe it, identify it, and say, oh, here's a law of gravity, or a law of this, or law of that. But man cannot make law. He can only make policy. And these corporations, governments, I don't care if it's ancient Pharaohic government of Egypt, the governments of Assyria, Babylon, ancient China, or modern China, or modern America, or modern Europe, whatever. None of those governments ever could make law. They made policy. And they all of them were simply corporations. They were corporations. They were made up. They're figments of people's imagination. Government is a matrix. That's what it is. It's just something in your mind made up. It's not real. It's like Christmas and Santa Claus. Christmas is just something in our mind, a concept you may or may not celebrate. And Santa Claus is not real. It's just a concept. Like I would say about all gods and deities and beings, in all the different religious writings, including the Bible. To me, those are all archetypes, but they're not literal. Mars, Venus, the Astarte, Ishtar, Baal, all the different gods. I'm trying to think of some of the different gods of the different religions. None of those are real. They're actually archetypes and concepts. Well, government is not real, but government is not you. It's a set-aside group of people that have decided that they are your authorities. And they create this government, this corporation. And then it goes on down the generations, more authorities. The whole concept of authority over you is no different than in my previous video when I was talking about experts. People claiming to be the experts and telling you how to live your life. And the same thing with authorities. Someone claiming to be over you, to be an authority of your life, and authority over civility. You know, if man is so feeble and so dangerous, you know, that he has to have other men to rule over him, that's pretty foolish. The whole concept of authority is a myth. Now, there are gangs that are called governments. There are police officers with guns. They got they feel like superheroes. They got their Batman utility belts on and their guns, and they're just the biggest gang on the block. I don't recognize cops or politicians or judges or anything like that as authorities. I just recognize them as the biggest mafia on the block, and I don't want to, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. One man can't fight them off, but I still see them as criminals and scum, and I laugh at them and openly sometimes, but in my heart I laugh at them a lot of times because they really think that they're somebody. And when I see these legislators or politicians, and by the way, that goes for, I don't care if it's Biden, Trump, I don't care if it's George Washington, King George, I don't care if it's your favorite senator or congressman or your local mayor. They're all full of shit. None of them are your authorities. And for me, and to me, for man to advance and to grow and to evolve, he's going to have to evolve not only out of silly superstitions or religions about gods and deities and things like that. He's going to have to evolve out of the other deities called politicians. You can consider the cops or the deacons, you know, and then you have the high priests, the politicians or whatever, and they all work for the moneyed interest anyway, as I point out in my previous video from yesterday, experts. But that's all for now. It's just the whole idea. I've never understood the whole concept. I highly recommend this book, by the way, by Larkin Rose. I have a hard time. I've always had a hard time understanding where people thought that a group of people have this right to know your business, to tell you what numbers to put on yourself. You have to have an ID to tell where you live and all your personal business, who you're married to, or, you know, what you make each year and where you work and all this. It's always bothered me. I've never understood that. And it's all based on the superstition of authority and government and state theism. That's a false religion that needs to go the way of the dodo bird.